In this video, we're going to be enhancing the user experience within our Canvas app when checking books in and out of our library. We currently have a specific issue within our app in that we can check the same book out multiple times. So we have a number of objectives. We want to take out loans only for available books. When we take a book out on loan, we want to make sure that book is now unavailable. We'd like for our books out on loan to be checked in. And when the book is checked in, we want to make sure that it is now available. And as a reminder, in our data model, it is book copies that get checked in and checked out. I'm really looking forward to be adding these features into our app, because by the end of this video, we'll have met the user story of the library assistant that allows them to check books in and out easily. Let's head over to Power Apps and start building. I'm starting this exercise in the solutions area of Dataverse. I'm going to head to the school library solution on this occasion, head down to tables. I'm going to look at the book copies table. If we look at the columns of the book copies table, we can see that there is a column called checkout status. Select on that. If I scroll down and look at the default choice, I can see that as well as none, there are 3 other choices available: available, on loan, or reserved. Let's go to the model-driven app to see how that manifests itself. Select on the apps. I'm going to select the 3 dots next to the Loans Manager and press play. If I head directly down to the book copies, on the right hand side, I can see the checkout status of all of the books. And if we scroll to the bottom, I can see that Winnie the Pooh is currently on loan. And if you wanted to make yours so that it's also online, you could select it, and then change the checkout status. And then save and close. Let's move back to our Dataverse solution. I'm going to move off the school library solution and select on the My School Library solution. Hit the 3 dots next to the My Library Manager and then select Edit. I'm going to collapse the home screen menu, go into preview mode, and then select Checkout Book. If I select the drop down for book copy, I'll see all of the book copies, both the on loan ones and the available ones, but we want to change that. I'm going to come out of preview, select on the book copy data card, select on advanced, and then unlock to change properties. I'm now going to select on the drop down. I'm going to rename it as DD book copy. Firstly, I'm going to remove this formula and change it to book copies. Select on that. Then I'll check that this works. Go on to preview, select the drop down, and we still see our book copies. I'm going to close out of this, select on our drop down again, and we're going to filter this so that we only see those book copies that are available. Let's do that now. I'll start from blank, and the formula is filter. And it's going to be the book copies. Add a comma or a semicolon. And it's where the field checkout status is equal to. And if you start typing checkout status, you'll see the square brackets at checkout status. Select this, and it needs to be dot available. Close the parentheses, and then we can see if this works. We can go to the preview, select the drop down, and we can see that we only have those book copies that are available. Now this is a good start, but how do we make it so that when we check out a book, that book copy is marked as being on loan? Let's start investigating that now. I'm going to come out of preview I'm going to select on my Checkout Book button. It's currently called Button Canvas 1. I'm going to change that. Select on this. I'm going to change it to Button Checkout. BTN Checkout. I'm going to change the formula in the On Select and remove the back. I'm going to select on my FRM loan. Select on it in the tree view, or you can select on it on the screen. I'm now going to select the drop down next to it. I'm going to move to the On Success property, the thing that happens when we have successfully submitted this form. Nothing happens in this, and we're going to change that. And now I'm going to walk you through the formula that we'll be creating. It's actually in 4 parts. The first part is a patch, and this will update the checkout status of the book that we've just taken out on loan to be on loan. We then refresh the book copies dataset so that our drop down will be up to date. We then navigate to the home screen. Then finally there is a helpful notification that you've successfully checked out a book. So let's remove this in its entirety and start building it. The first function is patch. Select on patch. We're going to patch to the book copies table. Select that. Add a comma or semicolon. Then we need to identify the correct record within that table. I'm going to select Shift and Enter and then do some curly brackets. And then I'm going to select on book copies. The book copies we can identify by using the form that we've submitted, FRM loan, .last submit, and the next bit will feel unusual because it is .book copies, .book copies. Add in a comma, Shift Enter, and we need to look at the checkout status. The checkout status needs to be checkout status dot on loan. Close the curly brackets and then close the parentheses. I'm going to add a semicolon at the end. Shift Enter so that we can do a new command, and then we're going to use the function refresh. Select on this. And it's going to be the book copies that we're going to refresh. Close the parentheses, semicolon or double semicolon if that's the syntax you use. Shift Enter, and then we're going to navigate. Select this, and we're going to navigate to the home screen. Select this, close the parentheses, and then one final semicolon. Shift Enter, and we're going to use the notify function. Notify, select this, and we're going to add the notification statement, which is you have successfully checked out a book. Close the quote, add a comma or semicolon, and the notification type will be success. I can select on this, close the parentheses, and the statement has now been completed. I can now preview this to see if it works. Select the preview, select a student, Maria Garcia, select a book copy. I'm going to go for A Tale of Two Cities, and then I'm going to check out the book. Let's try again. Notice that we have the you have successfully checked out a book statement. That was because of the notify statement. Let's check out the book again. This time we're just going to select the drop down for book copy. We can't see A Tale of Two Cities copy 1 because we just checked it out and we updated the status of the book copy. I'm going to come out of preview, select on FRM loan, expand this formula, and on screen I've added a series of comments that explains what is happening in each step. I can collapse this. And at this point, I'm going to save the app. So it seems we've solved the issue of checking books out, but what about checking books back in again? I need to return to the home screen, select Insert, and I'm going to drag a button into the very first row of our gallery, and we call this the template, as all other rows follow this pattern. I'm going to reposition the button. I'm going to rename the button to BTN Check-In. Select on the pencil, BTN Check-In. I'm going to change the text of the button. That's going to be Check-In. Expand the formula bar, and then drag it down further. I've now added in the formula that we're going to be creating together. In the first step, we use a patch statement to mark the book as returned. It's quite simple. We identify the record and we say that the date returned is now. We then run a second patch statement to say that this book is now available. We patch to the book copies table and we indicate that the book that we've just checked back in is now available. Finally, we have a notify stage, and then we refresh the loans table so that we're looking at an up-to-date list of our loans. I'm now going to remove this statement and we'll build it together. Let's write the patch statement to return the book. Patch. Which table are we going to patch to? We're patching to the loans table. I can select on this. Which record are we going to patch to? It's going to be this item. I can select that. And then what are we actually going to do when we do this patch? We need to do a curly bracket. We need to update the date returned field. And we need to indicate that the date returned is now. We have a function for this, and it's now. It has no parameters, so we just do an open parentheses and a close parentheses. Then we close the curly brackets, and then we close the patch statement. I'm happy with this, and I'm now going to create another statement to update the book so that it's marked as now available. I need to separate our statements using a semicolon, then Shift Enter, and I'm going to do another patch statement. Patch, open parentheses. It's going to be to the book copies table. I can select on this, then do a comma. We need to indicate the record that we're actually doing. I need to open the curly brackets and then need to indicate the book copies ID field. Book copies. And we need to indicate that the book copies field is this item. Book copy. Book copies. Need to do a comma because we need to now update another part of this statement. It's not the book copy reference. It's going to be the checkout status. Checkout status. And what is the checkout status going to be? It's going to be checkout status dot available. I can now close the parentheses on this. That's the curly brackets followed by the parentheses. If I'd like to make this easier to read, I can now select Format Text. And the hardest part of this statement is now complete. We're going to add a notify step, add a semicolon, and then notify. Open the parentheses. We need to put a statement, how we're going to notify them. And it's going to be you have successfully checked the book in. Add a comma or a semicolon. And we can say that it's a notification type of success. I'm happy with this statement, so I can close the parentheses, add a semicolon or a semicolon if it's a different syntax that you're using. Shift Enter, and we're going to refresh the loans table. It's the refresh function. I can select this. And which table are we going to update? It's going to be the loans table. Close the parentheses, and this statement is now complete. I'm going to collapse this down now. We'll see if we can get this to work. Our expected behaviour is if we check back in Macbeth copy 3, we'll see that that will disappear from the list. I'm going to preview the app and then select check in. And the book is no longer showing in our list. If I go to the School Library solution, onto apps, and then onto the model drone app, I can then take a look at the record that we have updated. Select play on that, go to the loans tab, and the loan we interacted with was loan 1961. I can select on that. I can see when it was returned, and if I select on book copy, I can see the checkout status is available. The app is now in a state where we can both check books out and check them in again. Let's run through the whole process. Check out book, select a student. I'm going to go for Raj Patel. Look for a book copy. I'm going to choose Frankenstein, and then I'm going to check the book out. I can see that Frankenstein has been taken out. I can now check it in again. I get a notification message, and I can see the record in the model drone app, loan 1966. I can select on that. I can see that the loan has been returned, and if I select on book copy, I can see the book is available. Congratulations for making it this far. During this exercise, we updated the drop-down to only show available books, so that we don't check out the same book twice by accident. We also updated the behaviour of the form when we submit it, so that as well as creating a loan, we also mark the book copy as not being available. Finally, we created a button with a series of steps that allowed us to check the book back in again and mark the book copy as available. Well done for making it this far, and my advice to you now is that in order to reinforce the learning, you remove some of the formulas and see if you can rewrite them without using the video. I'll see you in the next lesson.